In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to make animated scrolling to the different sections of our website. So I've made it really large here, and I can also shrink it down, and we can see the website on different size screens. So the main thing that we did in the last lesson, we showed you how we can introduce Scroll Spy for Bootstrap. Now let's add in some customized jQuery in order to get our actual scrolling functionality. So again, this is going to be animated scrolling, and what I want to do is apply this whenever our class navlink gets clicked, and whenever it does get clicked, I want to be able to pick up where we want to scroll to. So I want to pick up this particular hash information and utilize that within the web page. So we're going to be using jQuery for this, and this is just some customized jQuery to add that functionality. So let's open up and create a script tag there, and typically with jQuery we want to do document ready because we want to make sure that DOM is already fully loaded. So that's where this document ready comes in to play within jQuery. And then the best practice is usually whenever you open up the brackets, close them off, because sometimes this leads to confusion and open brackets and your code not working properly. So now with jQuery, it's really easy to access all of those DOM elements. So let's take a look and pick up the nav. Works the same way as you would expect it within CSS. So we can pick up all the elements that have a class nav link. So the dot for classes, hash for IDs, and then just plain tag without anything. So we're going to add in an event listener, so we're going to listen for whenever they get clicked, and when they do get clicked, I want to fire off a function. I want to pick up that event information for the function that's being fired off, and then again closing all of those tags that we've just opened up, and that's all sitting within there. So also we want to prevent the default. So this is a JavaScript function in order to prevent that default action, which would have been that click. And for now, let's just console log out the current object of this, and we'll also console log out the event information. And then we can utilize this within the rest of our jQuery. So let's take a look at our web page, refresh it, open up our console. So now we've got our console open up, and whenever we click any of these, we're picking up all of this information. So up here at the top, we see that we've got all of the div information that we were picking up there, so we can easily pick up that hash information out of the div. And also, we're picking up that event information. So we've got all of this event, and we're preventing the default, so it's not actually taking that action. So now when we click it, because of the prevent default, it's not actually doing anything. So let's continue to make our update within our jQuery in order to add that functionality back in. So we saw that the particular element of this and has a hash. So let's take a look and see what that produces when we click. So we see that we're picking up those hashes, and what we can do now is we can utilize this within jQuery animation and actually scroll the page to this particular ID, because we're picking it up in this hash and we're ready to go and we can utilize it now. So we can find out where it's actually offset as well. So we're placing the hash in there, and we can do something like more jQuery functionality where we offset from the top, and also I'm going to put that hash information in there. So let's go back out to our web page, refresh it. So now whenever I click it, and we do need to specify this as a jQuery object here. So let's go back, refresh it again. So now we see that whenever we click, we get this number here. And this number actually represents the number of pixels from the top of the page, from the top of the window, that we need to scroll down. And with Animate within jQuery, we have the ability to actually move the page. So let's create that function right now. So this is HTML, comma, body, because we want to pick up both of those elements. We want to add in the ability to animate, so let's animate. So this is the built-in method for animation for jQuery, let's open up our brackets here and add the function scroll top. So this is the parameter of what we want to do with our animation. We want to scroll it to the top, identify what we want to scroll to the top, so that hash object, and we want to get this number that we were looking at over here into where we want to scroll it to the top. So essentially what's going to happen now, we're going to animate and we're going to scroll it to that number. So this is actually the same thing as actually typing in that number and adding that number in here. So once we do the scroll to the top, we have additional parameters that we can enter in. So we can enter in a speed. So let's do 1000 milliseconds. And then we've also got a last function that we can fire off and actually create that animation. So this is setting the window location of hash. So this is that particular element identified, and we want to set it the window location of hash to hash. And we don't need a colon there. So now let's take a look at this function, see how this fires off. So when we click products, we see that we scroll over to products, we get about, and we get contact. So everything looks to be working properly, and now all we need to do is just run a few tests, just make sure everything is as we are expecting. So maybe even do a page refresh and so on. Scroll down to about, so scroll spy is highlighting it, and that jQuery animation is creating that animation effect whenever we click on that particular element or that particular link to bring us to the element. And that's the quickest way to create that type of functionality. I'm going to get rid of these console messages, and this is the quickest way to pass over that information and utilize jQuery to create that nice animation effect.